Welcome back, Sebastian here. So time for my preview for this weekend's United States Grand Prix. So we're starting out looking at last year's race. Verstappen won from Hamilton and Leclerc. Some notable moments from that race were the contact between Sainz and Russell on the first corner of the opening lap. Sainz starting from pole. I know there's a lot of very angry Ferrari fans and Sainz fans after that. There was also that contact between Stroll and Alonso, where Alonso effectively went airborne and then still managed to finish in the points. That was something. Of course, Verstappen had a very late pit stop, I believe, during a safety car, and Hamilton was leading the race, and for a moment it did look like Hamilton could have won the race, but alas not to be. Verstappen passed him pretty easily on the fresh tires. So speaking of tires, we'll move on to the tires for this weekend. So hard C2, medium C3, and soft C4. So the middle tires in Pirelli's range. I believe those are the tires that have always been brought here. Now, looking at the schedule, weather should be pretty nice and sunny all 3 days. Should also be pretty hot as well, so that's will be something to keep an eye on. So Friday, FP1, 12:30. Qualifying at 4 p.m. and of course, because it's a sprint weekend, it means lots of extra sessions that are relevant and relevant for giving points. Saturday, sprint qualifying 12:30, sprint at 5 p.m. local time. So a bit later in the evening, track might be a bit cooler. So if there's any kind of issues, safety cars, red flags in the sprint, it could mean for a pretty cool track towards the end. And Sunday, Grand Prix at 2 p.m. Interestingly, neither the practice sessions or any of the other sessions will be when the Grand Prix starts. So that will be a bit of an interesting one for the teams, as they won't have as much data on how the tires interact with the track at that time. Now moving on to the circuit itself, Coda is a very bumpy circuit. It was built on basically a swamp, so the track is always sinking. And this means that the track surface itself is very bumpy, which means it can be very hard on the suspension. There's some very good overtaking chances, particularly into turn 12. That's the best chance over the course of the lap. But if you're really up for it, you can make a move at turn 1 and around the outside or the inside of 17 and 18. I think it's a pretty balanced track for aero. It's not a track like Monza where you're basically running your skinny wings, nor is it a Monaco where you're running full downforce. You need to have a good amount of downforce through the S's and through some of these corners in the sector 3, but because of the long straight, you're going to want to be not running too much wing. So I think it'll definitely benefit teams like Red Bull, who are known to be have a very strong balanced aero package. And it's usually a 2-stop strategy. So usually 2 stops a bit tougher on the tires, which means that we do have a bit more variation in strategy as compared to just the usual 1 stop, 20 laps in, and then just go to the flag on a set of hard tires. Now, predictions for this weekend. I think the easy one will be the winner, like it's been pretty much all this season, Max Verstappen. After that, I think it gets a bit tricky and a bit more complicated. McLaren should be pretty good here. They've been very good at these kind of circuits. Recently, Qatar, Silverstone, Suzuka. So I think they're going to be in with a really good shout as well. Mercedes are bringing upgrades as well, so that should benefit them. Ferrari, I'm not so sure. I think they're definitely going to suffer down in Sector 1. Sector 3, they should be a little bit better because they do pretty well at the slow speed corners though. So it's definitely hard to say how they'll do. Aston Martin, I don't think are really going to be in this fight. They've really tailed off in terms of development, and they don't really have a ton of strengths with their car that I can see that would really do well on a track like this. So for second and third on the podium, I think I'm going to go with Norris, driver in form, and I'm going to go with Hamilton. I know I put Hamilton on the podium last time. I think if he had not taken himself out in the first corner, really good chance I think he shows up on that podium in Qatar. So for this weekend, I'm going to go with Verstappen, Norris, and Hamilton. I think a pretty good bet for the podium. Both cars should be pretty strong here, but that being said, I think the Red Bull will be in a league of its own. It'll be really interesting as well to see how Perez does. Hasn't gotten a podium since Monza, I believe. and has had a really torrid run as of late. So that's all for my preview. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think is going to round out the podium? The win, I think, is too easy. But who do you think is going to finish second and third? Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.